Brighton Beach Busking presents
Samuel, Jake, Josh, Bronte, Ian, Oscar, welcome to
the Busking Break.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Very good, thank you.
The show where we interview your favourite Brighton Beach Buskers, finding out the stories behind the musicians that sound our streets.
I try everything to a very average level.
Music is, I mean, if it had been the Olympics, it would be a gold medal.
Make sure to subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you do not miss an episode. So come with us and be part of this journey. Hello and welcome to the Busking Break here at the Works Pier. Today we spoke with Jake Nicol. He's an incredible guitar player. It was a really great conversation, so I hope you enjoy. Jake, welcome to the Busking Break.
Alright, hello.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright.
Good. So you're a guitar player, instrumentalist. People on the channel probably know you for these like atmospheric, kind of almost psychedelic vibe. How did you get started as a musician, as a guitar player, and how did you get to this point? What's the journey been like?
Well, I started playing guitar in my late teens. I just used to be into loads of classic rock music that my dad listened to.
Okay.
And then, I didn't really do very well at school at all, and I had nothing to do with my life. I remember I read the autobiography of Slash by Guns N' Roses, and he completely fucked up school as well. And I just had no direction in life, and I was like, hold on a minute, this guy was like some dropout, destitute bumfuck, and he got into playing guitar and he actually got somewhere with his life, so I started doing it.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, then I just went out and started, I don't know, hanging around the scene and hanging out with musicians, and I ended up travelling. I went on the road with my guitar in my pack. First time I ever went busking was in Byron Bay in Australia.
Nice.
And I actually made quite a lot of money, and I was quite impressed.
That was the first time.
Yeah.
So you were in Australia.
Yeah.
What was the reason you decided to busk?
I had no money.
Good reason.
I managed to splurge it all, and I was staying in a tent down on the sand dunes. So I went into town. I had a little cube, and I had an Epiphone Les Paul, and I hadn't sold these despite the fact I had lost all my money. And I set up and started playing. First person who came up to me was a bunch of Aborigines, and they said, "Do you have a permit?" And I said, "No." And they were like, "Nice one," and gave me a fiver.
Good start.
Yeah, stick it to the white man, nice one. So I kept going. I started making a living out of busking in Byron and hanging around and having a really good time. And since then I've ended up going around 5 different countries doing it, and just kept improving, kept getting better.
So where else have you busked? Where else has it taken you?
Oh, I got around a bit of Australia. I was in Brisbane, Melbourne. I was 2 years in Melbourne. Melbourne's amazing. If anyone's watching this, you must go to Melbourne if you haven't. I've been around a bit of the UK, London, Edinburgh. Been to Spain, Barcelona, Costa Blanca.
Wow.
Portugal, I was there for a while. Algarve, the south coast, all the beach towns. Lisbon. Went to the island Funchal. No, Funchal's the city. Yeah, Madeira, the island. I was out there a while. Now I'm back in Brighton where I grew up, thanks to COVID-19.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so you were travelling and busking during this time?
Yeah.
What happened? How did, give us the story. What made you go travelling? What was the kind of reason?
Nothing was happening in my life, and I was bored and miserable. And I just had this whole romantic idea of you got all the travelling blues man kind of culture and stuff. I thought I'd just fucking go.
That's cool.
And then you get addicted once you start. You get a buzz from rolling into the next town and everything being fresh and new. Just keep going.
And did you play guitar before you went, or did you kind of pick it up along the way?
I barely played when I started. I've developed just as I kept going. I mean, when I actually started travelling, I was shit. I'll freely admit I was absolutely shit.
So would you say that busking's helped you kind of improve that?
Get so much better busking regularly. My playing's improved massively.
That's awesome. So you decide to go travelling and you kind of pick up the guitar along the way, sort of.
Well, I left with it.
You left with the guitar?
Yeah.
and then you find yourself busking in all these different places. So have you got any like standout stories of like times you were busking in various different places? Maybe a good one, maybe a not so good one.
It'd probably be stories about other people rather than about myself.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'll talk about the Algarve in the south of Portugal, because that just changed the game for me completely going there, like realising how professional street performers can be.
Uh-huh.
You go down there in summer, my favourite city is Lagos, just towards the west. It's where you get away from all the commercial chavvy places. That's more like the hippie surfer kind of beach part. There's literally like the best street artists in the whole of Europe go there in summer. I just saw guys set up, play for 45 minutes and make like 300 euros. Guys using several grand's worth of equipment. I've never looked at busking the same way after going to that city. Like, if you know what you're fucking doing and it's the right time of year, you're in the right place, you can make a lot of money.
Wow.
I mean, there was one guy down there, he ended up buying a farm somewhere in the north of Portugal at the end of the summer with money he made in busking in Lagos.
Wow.
I mean, it was pretty run down. He probably didn't pay much for it, and it was probably a bit of a dodgy transaction. But he ended up with a property, is the point.
It was an inspiring thing, yeah, just to witness. So, is there anything that's ever happened like to you personally, like with busking, that just kind of standing out?
That's a difficult question. I can't really think of an answer to that.
I suppose if you've been busking like you have so long in so many different places, it must be like one of those
I
things.
meet a lot of cool people. You're surprised, like if you're a good busker, you get the attention of like, you know, artists that are actually with labels and stuff. That want to hang out if you're good enough.
Have you got an example of like a way busking has opened up doors?
An example.
Like, have you ever like somebody that's maybe approached you, or you ended up with a gig, or ended up recording something?
Yeah, I mean, most of my connections are artists I've met when I've been busking. I don't want to drop any names. I mean, I don't know anyone that's massive, but still people that probably would rather I didn't talk about them. Yeah, I mean, I do work in the studio as well.
Cool.
So that's a friend of mine I went to school with. So I've got 2 albums I've recently finished.
Nice.
That'll be coming out.
This isn't the one that's already been released?
No, there's 2 more.
Oh, wow, cool. So when can we expect them, do you know?
They're finished, really. So it's tidying up the production and the photography. So that's going to take like 2 or 3 months because it's more of a pain in the ass than it sounds.
Okay. And how does busking in Brighton compare to other places you've busked before?
It's good money here. It's not as... I mean, Lagos, where I was talking about in Portugal, that's just where it's insane and stupid how much money you can make. I mean, Brighton is really good, and also I'm at like the top of my game now because I've been going for so long. But I don't know, I'm just finding it it can be a bit of a pain in the arse of an environment. There are absolutely loads of buskers, and it's like really hard to ensure that you're not all on top of each other. You've got to be quite, you know, organised and diplomatic to get it to really work properly. Like, make sure someone's in this spot for this amount of time. Try to make sure someone's not too close while you're doing it.
Do you think that someone like Brighton and Hove Council could maybe do something more for the buskers?
No, we don't want them getting involved. God, no.
Really?
We really don't want them getting involved. I think it's all about like anarchic self-management. It's best to keep it that way. We don't want the council issuing permits and laws and stuff like that. I don't know. You
think it should stay as is, kind of thing? Yeah. Cool. Who are your kind of biggest influences? You mentioned Slash.
That was a long time ago. That was in the early days.
Yeah.
I used to drink and do drugs and that shit. I don't do that anymore.
Cool.
So I don't really listen to Slash anymore. But that was in the beginning. Influences now, I know he's a nylon string player. I really like Estes Ton, like the neo flamenco guy. My biggest influences are just people I've hung out with and played with mostly. Like, who else? I mean, I like there's this Japanese guy called, I can't even pronounce his name, Nito. He does all this crazy shred stuff. He also has like anime music. I've nicked a few of his tunings. He's really cool. I listen to so much stuff. I listen to like lo-fi, jazz stuff, and like post-rock, post-punk, ambient, kind of noisy, progressive stuff. It's mainly what I'm drawing on.
Nice. And is there anyone you love to work with one day or do something with?
There are people out there. Not people that are big. I follow a lot of underground music.
Cool.
But yeah, there's people on my list that I hope to meet one day and maybe work with. You
Yeah.
have to see. I don't know. You don't know until you really meet someone in real life. I mean, you can follow somebody as an artist online, and you might have an impression of who they are in your head.
Uh-huh.
But if you actually meet them, it's probably not going to be the case. And you have to really click with someone. The magic's got to be there if you're going to work with them. You can't force it. If it's not there, it's not there.
That's well said.
Yeah.
It's good. Well worth mentioning, like the idea of somebody being an idea until
Yeah.
you've actually met them.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. Okay, here's like a deep question, if you want it to be deep. What is music to you?
Music is the true language beyond our shallow words, I would say.
Wow.
It's like
cool.
it's the pulse of the soul.
Uh-huh. So good anecdote. Give us some more. Let's go even deeper.
Oh, deeper. Let me try.
What is it to you personally? Like, what does it mean for you in your life?
Music, it is my life, really. I mean, every time I try and branch into something else, it doesn't work out. And I come back to music again. I've tried to do a lot of things. I had a massage business. I tried to break into the construction industry. And I just always end up becoming a guitar player again. Nothing else works.
You're like magnetic to it.
I signed a deal, man. That's it. I was at the crossroads. I keep forgetting. Like, no, you signed a deal, boy. You're gonna play the blues.
That's awesome.
Jesus Christ! So music. Yeah, I mean, it's like breathing to me. I need to do it. I get really depressed if I go a few days without playing. It's how I meet people. It's how I make money. It's how I communicate everything that I think and feel, really. Because as I've said, I feel that our language just isn't deep enough.
Mm-hmm.
So Patti Smith, artist I really like, she said that language is like a cultural prison because we can only express ourselves within the limits of the language, or in our case English, which is a pretty broad language. It's got loads of words compared to a lot of other languages, but still, with a limit you hit a wall where there's no words for what you're thinking or feeling at all. There's no way you could say it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where art and music and poetry comes in. That's where you can really take it to the next level. Make yourself really known.
Mm-hmm. That was really well said. Yeah, it's definitely the kind of, you can go further than words.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. It's really cool. So you were traveling a lot and busking around, and then the pandemic hit. Where were you? What happened?
I was in Madeira. I wasn't like in the main city, Funchal. I was like way up the mountains. This is like the middle of nowhere. It's an island 600 kilometres from the nearest continental landmass in the Atlantic Ocean, and I was right in the middle, like up the mountain in a little village. I had a 3-bedroom apartment though, because it's so cheap out there.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, nice.
And then, I was like, everything got locked down. Police weren't letting me out my flat for about a month. And I started to run out of money really quickly. Because there's a load of cruise ships that dock in Madeira, so that's what I was making my money from. I was busking and playing the bars and restaurants and stuff.
Oh, wow.
I ended up just having to blag money off my family just to keep paying the rent.
Uh-huh.
And as soon as the airport opened again, I had to come back and just start from zero again in Brighton.
Dang.
Yeah, 2 years later, still here.
That's what I was going to say. Leads me to this. What do you feel like? Do you want to go back to travelling? Do you think that you'll stay here in Brighton?
I'm not going to stay in Brighton. I'm not going to travel like I used to. I used to be really reckless. I used to take the guitar, a backpack, a tent. I would just go. I was pitching my tent and staying in the woods. I was staying in occupied buildings and backpacker hostels and stuff, and living cash in hand, not even having a lot of paperwork. And I'm getting into my 30s now, and I'm not doing that anymore. It's off the cards. But I'll probably move town every couple of years still. I'll shift my lease to somewhere else, and I'll still move around. But I'm not gonna. Cool. I'm not doing the vagabond thing.
You got a wild story that comes to mind that is from maybe some of your travels? Maybe it's a crazy place you've slept, or I don't know.
So many. I'll go back to the Algarve again, Lagos. Like the whole time I was there, 8 months, I pitched my tent on abandoned farmland, and I stayed there for 8 months, and nobody, the police, the locals, nobody said anything. They just let me do it. This is Portugal, and also quite an alternative part of Portugal. And yeah, I just squatted the land for 8 months. And
Wow.
I was 1 hour's walk from town, right out in the countryside, like in the forest on my own. I had to walk, 1 hour to town and 1 hour back every day. It was actually amazing. It was beautiful. I loved it out there.
Would you leave your stuff? Would you?
Yeah. It was
It was
hidden.
always
There was
fine.
like trees all around me. I had a ring of trees, and you had to like go through this little gap that you could hardly see unless you were standing at the right angle, and then there was a clearing in the middle. I just lived in there.
That's amazing. That's, I mean, quite a life. It's cool. So, what kind of is your plan like going forward for busking and music?
I kind of want to, now that my lifestyle's going to change, I want to gradually start moving out of playing on the street. I want to get it down to like work smart, work hard as much as possible. So I have
Nice.
CDs to sell. I need to get the card machine. So we got summer coming with the tourists. I mean, if I'm set up properly, I can hit 150, 200 a day, and then I can go out 2 or 3 days a week and spend the rest of my time doing something that's actually going to advance me, rather than like this winter I was just playing way too much, I think, and everyone's got sick of me.
I'm sure they weren't.
I'd like to move into doing soundtracks,
Uh-huh.
like maybe for movies and series or even video games or yoga
Awesome.
sessions.
Yeah,
and things.
yeah.
I actually have a yoga teacher I'm going to start working with soon.
Yeah, I can
That's all
proper
parts.
imagine like kind of what you do through those like almost meditation sessions, and it's a really good shout.
Yeah, well, what she does is called Yoga Nidra, where it's kind of like she puts you into kind of like some space halfway between being asleep and being awake.
Yeah.
And then it's like guided meditation from there, and she wants me to be present in the room playing for that. We've got a little thing going on. We're gonna work that out. What else would I like to do? I would like to start playing with other people, but I find I really have to click with someone personally on the right level before I can do that. I don't just want to keep playing on my own forever.
Cool, man. And for anyone that was maybe starting on a journey as being a guitar player, or even deciding that they want to try busking, what would like a word of advice be?
Oh God, with being a guitar player, I'd say choose a different bloody instrument. Because there's too many guitarists, and I've worked really hard to like work out a style that doesn't sound like anyone else, and I think it's really important to do that, especially if you can't sing and you're like just relying on the guitar. But I mean, if you are going to play the guitar, you've got to work out how to play it like nobody else does, otherwise you won't stand out.
Nice.
Because we've got too many guitarists and not enough of everything else in the world. And if you want to start busking, you have to just go out and start doing it. What you need to do is just communicate with the people that have been doing it for longer and are better established and know what they're doing. And respect the way that we've got things worked out. Like, we communicate with each other, like who's going to be in this spot with this length of time or whatever. And then, if people like you, they'll help you out. I mean, when I wasn't that great, people lent me their equipment, showed me how to do things. And if they hadn't done that, I wouldn't have got anywhere.
That's awesome. Like
There's
a community spirit.
people I do owe a lot to out there in the world somewhere.
That's cool.
There's so many little subtleties to it. You got to understand how to read your environment and how to read the people around you. Like work out what kind of ambience works with what kind of music. My kind of instrumental stuff, I can do that in the pavilion or down the beach and I'll make loads. But if I go to like Churchill Square, I'll make nothing because it's not the right kind of music for the surroundings, how it all fits together. Yeah.
A kind of awareness of what you do and how it's going to resonate with like where you put yourself. That's cool. Good advice. Well, thank you for being on the Busking Break. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Where can people find your stuff?
If you just look up Jake Nicol on Spotify or Instagram, YouTube, there's stuff on there. There's not much there at the moment, but there's going to be more soon because I've been working hard in the studio for the past year or so.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Being here.
Thank you for watching the Busking Break here on the Brighton Beach Busking YouTube channel. If you haven't already, then please click subscribe, like this video, and hit the notifications bell so you know when videos have been posted. Go and check out our busking guest. All their links are in the description. I have been your host, August Radio Project. If you're a musician, creative, and you like challenges, or you need some tips and tricks, then go and check out my YouTube channel, also linked in the description. Thank you to Works for welcoming us to the Works Pier and believing in the project. If you're a creative looking for workspace in Brighton, contact Works through the details in the description. They offer co-working, craft space, sound studios, offices, meeting rooms, and more. Also, thank you to Mug Time for the wonderful mugs. You can find the link to their Amazon shop in the description below. And thank you to you for watching the Busking Break. And I'm sure I will see you in the next one. Thank you.